Hello. Turn. What turn is it actually? 14? Round 14. I don't know what happened other than, yeah, we've seen my underscore turn at the end of last video. So that was Fleming and Air Forces and Hollywood, very understandably. Sadly, engineering goes on one. Let's see how that turns out. Yeah, I already said that a few times. I think that's perfectly winnable for him. And somehow I do feel like he's not going to win. Let's see what's going to happen. And then this happens. The beast wants to have mutual tourism. And what can I say? I would love to find any argument to refuse it, but sadly there is no argument. So this is what ChatGPT says to this. We have to accept, huh? Widerwillig. Widerwillig. It's kind of eerie if you look at the picture. It's kind of crazy because this dude looks quite similar to me. And I said like, ChatGPT, what the fuck is happening? Why is this dude looking like me? Because I didn't give him a picture of me or something, and it replied like, yeah, okay, but you've given me all the logs and the way you talk and blah blah blah, and so that's who I depict. And it's really, I mean, it's not one to one, but it's kind of eerie. Anyway, we accept the pact. And that's the first action, is taking engineering. Not a surprise. And then, yeah, we can actually think about what's happening here. Do they go for movies? Yeah, they probably just go movies, engineering, and build 2 movies, huh? Movies, engineering, build, populate, build movies. And 1 civil action left for rockets, maybe? Yeah, let's assume that. Rockets or military theory? 50-50. Pro Sport. Ah, for the internet. Kubota. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So the space flight dropped. Yeah, first of all, impact of progress. I think we always want to see that. We will be in a very good position for the impact of progress. It's already this, and yeah, we might even get the military theory. They might not get it. That's like kind of 50-50, I guess. But we also can take the satellites in hand. Maybe even develop it. I don't think I want to think about the turn before seeding, because I will always seed, and then it will be a little unnecessary to omit the information for the turn. So let's go. Let's go. It's the crime wave. Okay, could have been better, I guess. Could have been worse. Could it have been worse? Maybe it was the literal worst event for us. Oh well, what can you do? And then, I think without the spaceflight we don't have a real winning condition. And then there's this. Can we finally do it? Reserves, upgrade 1 of those. Sadly no oil in the row. Satellites in hand. Would probably be my blitz turn here. Then again, we might just skip the upgrade of oil part. So I do think the mechanic is correct. This will be enough for the entire game. We might skip this part and get another journalism out. It's also income, science income. We do need the culture. This will be a huge... I think I underestimated. I said it will be like 27, but it will be more. We're like 33 or so. I also like this. We still have 15 rocks just in hand. We can still go for the oil actually if it drops. Maybe it makes more sense to just if upgrade then one upgrade to oil. Let me quickly look again at the other turn. It would be nice to find a turn also where we can just develop the satellites. But I don't think that's happening. By the way, we some people asked about the civil service and we already see the value of it. Like the turn would be a lot worse with one less civil action now. Makes a huge difference. I do realize that there was a certain irony crying about me having too many civil actions, but that's just... That sadly doesn't change the fact that it is... In doubt, it's better to have more civil actions. It's just harder to find the best turn when you have more civil actions. So... Yeah, the mechanic is so much better than the Cybrid, and it's also a tech. We might hope for a huge impact of technology. We might hope for... this is kind of a game state where they have to seed impacts that are also good for us, since they also have to win against Mayondor. This is actually what makes 3-player and 4-player also... I come from 2-player, right? So for a long time I thought 2-player is the only real game, since it's a null-sum game and there's no quote-unquote random behavior, third-player behaviors and so on. But in some states, some aspects, 3-player, 4-player is so much more interesting. It can be a lot more frustrating also, but it's in some aspects a lot more interesting. And one of those is like thinking about what I just started to say, they have to seed impacts that are good for us both in order to win against him. So I can hope that if they seed impacts, they haven't yet, a little surprising, but okay, the tourism is always no-brainer more or less. Yeah, but if they find a tech, impact of science, and so on, they will have to very carefully calculate if it might even be worth it to give me some culture in order to gain a lot of culture against this guy, who is threatening something like 40 culture Hollywood or so, or even more, if it stays super peaceful, which it looks like. They omitted rockets, they omitted military theory, so it doesn't look like they prepare a war at all. They prepare also a very big internet. Oh yeah, this engineering, I think it was, truth be told, I think it was a misplay by him to put it even on 1. Maybe it doesn't make enough of a difference for them, but I think it did make a lot of difference. And he even has to consider taking it maybe. It's also still a very good card for him, if he still wants to be able to upgrade to multimedia. But then again, I mean, in hindsight, it's always easy to tell. I think it was my first intuition when the card dropped that it's super important to take away from the beast. You might think they don't need the rocks, but they do. And also they need the civil actions for the internet. Okay, let's quickly look at the turn again where I upgrade this because it's also possible, but I think it feels. I mean, these questions I would like to have a hydra really, and some actual good players who tell me what's better here. But that's too hard for me. Yeah. And then satellites, and then I will be curious whether some of those yellow cards reach us. Like this upgrade or the upgrade to a possible oil can still be done with an efficient upgrade. There's still urban groves to be gained. Yeah, we have 15 rocks in hands for 3 cannons or something, if something happens. Yeah. A little sad that it was. I think it was the literal worst impact here event that could happen, right? I think it was. Can quickly think about not taking the satellites and yeah, asking ourselves if it's good enough only for the impacts. But we already put one in. It scales with. It's already 4 culture just for that. 4 possible culture for impact of tech. Strength is probably doesn't matter probably. Yeah, but we look at 4 culture for 2 civil actions, possibly 8 culture for 2 civil actions, and possibly still 1 colony. And the alternative is just to build reserves. And the one advantage that we have, and that's also why satellites is, yeah, the civil service was still the. That's one of the few things I was certain about in the end, that civil service was correct in that turn. Why it is still so valuable. Every civil action counts. Oh, wait. No, we can't. I was just thinking maybe we can get this Kuberturn out of the game, but we literally can't, sadly. Because this is all leaders. It's so lucky for them. Oh my god, it's again. Oh my god, it's so fucking lucky. This quarter is also S tier for them with this Pro Sport Internet. A leader that gives 8 culture per turn now. 7. Into this, yeah, for the last 2 turns. And I could have done it if that wasn't 2 leaders here. And I already had a leader. Could have just kicked him out of the game. Alright. Yeah, but they didn't take the civil service. This is kind of surprising. The democracy is then also. So, first of all, it's 17 signs. And then they don't have it for next turn. And maybe not even in 2 turns, since they also want maybe pro sports at some point and so on. But the order of things would probably now be democracy first. But still, then it's only they go from 6 to 7. And I have, what is it, 9? 7 plus 2, right? 6, 7, 9. We do have that advantage. We do have that. We do have that science income advantage. So we are at 60 after the turn. Income is kind of close. They will build the bigger wonder, but yeah, okay, let it be something like 40 maybe. This will also be a big wonder. And then there's this guy who has no signs, so he is more or less at his limit. Okay, he can still go for the multimedia. By now it's maybe even close who I want to get it. But I think still I want my under to get it. Although they have, I think they won't really care that much about whether they will now build 4 movies or there will be also multimedia. So it's a little unclear, I guess. Yeah, this is a very. I think this will be close, somewhat. If I'm not totally wrong here right now, it feels like it's winnable still. Probably still they are in the best spot. This engineering will do a lot of work. But they also, as I said, they also wanted the mech egg, right? They wanted that. They can wait for the second. I mean, it's super likely that it will be there soon, I guess. They only have 2 people now coming. And here's an inhabited territory possibly for them. It cannot bid that much. It will also be. They will probably get that if it adds in. If we are lucky, it's revealed in the back. So not this turn, but maybe even in 2 turns or something. Then the game is really almost over. This Cold Wars will happen soon. Yeah, okay, yeah. It is actually the thing. When I seeded it, I also said I'm not that happy to seed that, and it is the situation where it's just much better for them. I just realized that this gives them the signs for the democracy this turn, which is super bad if it is revealed. Which is super bad if it is revealed. I maybe should have taken a little more time contemplating whether we want to seed that or not. But the reason for seeding it is, yeah, revealing some information, so I don't have to rethink the turn 2 times, and also that we kind of want to hope to draw some more impacts and seed every turn impacts, because we do need some culture from impacts. That is part of the equation. I think we do need some culture from impacts to have a chance against this Shakespeare and also against the Beast. Yeah, so that's the turn. I'm quite convinced. Let's go. Could copy a tactic. No, thank you. Now this is kind of interesting. But I think since we do have them developed already, we keep this tactic. Can get rid of that. Might sneak a hybrid war with an empty military theory and maybe even, yeah, patriotism or something. But this aggression will not happen. So, please no aggressions. I like this. I don't know about this. I don't think that will do anything. Impact of Wonders is meh. It's not what we need, I think. We need Impact of Science, Tech, Variety, Balance will be good. Even Harmony, no, Harmony not that much probably. Oh, that's unclear. It's a little unclear. Okay. Okay, very interesting game. I'm kinda glad that it stayed peacefully. There's oil, by the way. I like these games a lot more. If one guy goes all in military, games get a little weird, in my opinion, a little random. I like when everyone is going peaceful. It's more interesting. Also, of course, that doesn't mean that military plays no role. It's still, as you might recall me saying like 3 seconds ago, maybe 20, we can still sneak a war. And yeah, still prefer those peaceful games where where it's on that end. And all those military all-ins, they are always a gamble. Everyone who plays military in only or has a very high favorite of how is it called, favor in for that, does prefer that a lot. Isn't it always a gamble? It might be sometimes a good gamble. It is a skill that's I mean, there are some high end players who do that and are very successful with that. But it's always so gambly, isn't it? Doesn't it just feel so bad when you just lose because after you built 80 strength and didn't draw a war or something? Huh. I don't know. Anyway, that's the turn. There's an oil. I'm looking forward to this oil actually. I think it still does work. We can also hope that this is economic progress still. They would seed it without a doubt, I think. Again, in those situations where they seeded events, they didn't have many cards in hand. So maybe towards the end of H2 that's not entirely true anymore. But at the beginning, definitely. And maybe one of those cards is still from an early time of H2. Alright, oil coming. Second multimedia. Now I'm curious whether my owner spends 3 civil actions on that. Yeah, maybe like how this dropped now is kind of good or not. I don't know actually. I'm still undecided whether I care about them getting multimedia or not. It's still huge for internet, obviously. But they already have potentially 4x4, and even with this and engineering, they won't have enough civil actions and people. They would have enough rocks, I think, but they wouldn't have civil actions and people to put into 12 buildings here, I think. Alright. Maybe it's, yeah. Okay. Let's end the video here. See you in the next one.